Disability is the world's largest minority group, and disability is something that can be acquired at any point in time over the course of someone's life. I think ability status is something that looks very different as someone gets older as well. And so for all of these reasons, it is very highly likely that somebody will encounter working with a person with a disability in their clinical work.
BIPOC, queer, trans people are found at higher rates in disability statistics. To learn to be responsive to the needs of people with disabilities is to practice multicultural counseling.
I think it's important for all counselors to be equipped to work with people with disabilities, because when you really think about it, the likelihood of you as a counselor serving someone with a disability is high, whether you're a rehabilitation counselor or not. They say the population comprises about 20 to 25% of people with disabilities. So chances are you will have a client who has a disability, whether or not you were planning on it. And being prepared to work with people with disabilities means that you can serve all of your clients in an inclusive way. You may even have a client who comes to you not identifying as a person with a disability or not having a disability, and through the course of their life acquires a disability through an accident or an illness or an injury. And then as a person who's equipped to serve a person with a disability, you're still able to serve this client adequately and with success.
People with disabilities have so much potential to offer the greater community, as well as fulfilling their own potential, provided the right support frameworks are in place to help them flourish and succeed. I truly believe that counsellors have a critical contribution to make in helping generate opportunity for that scaffolding.
I feel that one of the most important ways counselors can best advocate for and serve people with disabilities is by recognizing the importance of disability inclusion, including in healthcare, education, the workforce, and in our communities. I think this means working to address discrimination and barriers for people with disabilities, and then of course doing our own work to recognize and work through any of our own biases as well.
Counselors need to be equipped to work with people with disabilities because nearly 1 in 5 people experience disability at some point in their lives. It's the largest open minority group. I say an open minority group because you can become part of the disability community at any point in your life, even if not at birth. Aging, accidents, disease, climate change, mental health, trauma, substance use, these factors contribute to disability. And they're going to be the experiences of the people coming through your door for help. If you hope as a counselor to serve all people well, then having disability cultural competence is really a necessary foundation and an ethical obligation. Counselors are required to embrace cultural humility, and we have to start thinking about disability as culture. It's a culture all counselors need to understand.
As an individual with a disability, I always hungered for a counselor to understand my journey. On a personal level, it is important for counselors on all levels, whether they be a counselor educator, rehabilitation counselor in school, agency, or private practice, to be equipped with knowledge of disability. I encourage all counselors to learn about ableism, social model, accessibility, and appropriate language to use with individuals with disabilities.
In the community, counselors who consciously create offices that are accessible to all are important. Disability is not just about mobility. While creating an office environment that accommodates wheelchairs and other mobility devices is important, it is necessary to think about disabilities that are not visible. For example, chemical sensitivities, hearing and visual impairments, traumatic brain injuries, and others. These disabilities require counselors to think about the chemicals and perfumes present in the office, lighting and sound, size of the font used in paperwork, and availability of communication alternatives. Counselors who are allies to those in the disability community may choose to include their attention to accessibility issues in their advertisements.
The most important way is to really get comfortable understanding and talking about disability. If you're a person who doesn't have a disability or for whom disability has not touched your life through a family member or friend or experience, you may have been sort of raised with the social idea that having a disability is bad, that it's something we don't talk about, it's something we don't bring up. And so you may have a lot of discomfort around talking about disability or considering disability. And so really getting yourself comfortable with the idea of disability just being a part of natural life. Everyone will eventually experience some type of disability, whether they're temporarily disabled through an accident or injury, or they grow older and acquire some of the natural disabling effects of aging. And so really understanding disability, getting comfortable talking about it, will really help you better serve people with disabilities. Then you also want to really consider the access needs of people with disabilities, and that's one of the best ways that you can advocate for people with disabilities.
First and foremost, I think by listening to the people they serve and striving to stay current on new and emerging research. Staying current also means actively seeking out meaningful and emerging professional development and research rather than relying on what was taught in school.
For counselors to better advocate for those with disabilities, you first have to develop the skill sets for advocacy, but at a level that's appropriate for where you're comfortable. Advocacy can be engaged at an individual, agency, community, even national level, but not every counselor is going to be able to take action at all these levels. Know where you can make an impact and get good at it. Learn about the issues. Advocate from a place of knowledge and social justice for all people, not a place of charity. And most importantly, facilitate the advocacy skills in the clients you work with so they can address their own needs. Counselors are here to be allies to the disability community. We're not their champions. You have to advocate alongside them, but again, that's at their invitation and with their input.